Hello everyone, I am Saurabh Jaiswal and currently working as an application developer. So I gave my Amazon interview recently for Software Development Engineer 1 and unfortunately I failed it. So why I'm sharing this with you because you can learn from my mistakes, what mistakes I did, and yeah. So let's start with when I got the interview. So I applied to Amazon from for like 6 months, but I didn't got any interview. But after 6 months, a recruiter got in touch with me and she asked me to give online assessment. So Amazon usually gives online assessment in the beginnings to test that if you know some coding or not, and they use that online assessment to check whether you are qualified. So yeah, so I chose a date for a month after a month, which was after a month, and uh, I was like not prepared at that time. So that's why I chose a date after a month, which you can also do. Maybe if you are not prepared after a month, you can choose a date after month also. They are flexible with that. So yeah, I started solving lead code like before the day I got the online assessment. It was like I was at 100 questions, but after that I solved around like 50 to 60 questions. Yeah, I was a pretty slow at that time, but yeah, I solved it like medium 50 to 60 questions. And then I gave the online assessment. So the online assessment is like you will have 90 minutes to solve two questions, and those questions are like lead code medium, or you can also say easy. And then you also have to explain the time and space complexity for both of those. So yeah. After that, you will have a couple of behavioral questions which you have to rate from 1 to 5, and I think there are a couple of options given for rating it from 1 to 5. Yeah, that's it. So I passed the online assessment and I got a call for on-site interview, and recruiter asked me to choose a date for on-site interview. So the date I chose was like after a month, but recruiter told me like if because the positions are almost filled for SDE1, if I choose a date after a month, I should just let her know when I am available after a month, and then she will schedule a new date for me. So yeah, the recruiter told me about this on a call. uh, After that, okay, then I prepared for a month, and then I got in touch with recruiter again, and she told me like there is a position available for SD1, which I will be interviewed for. I said okay, then schedule an interview for me, and I chose a date after a month from that time also. So yeah, so that date, yeah, so that date was like tentative. It was not a final date. It was not a final date. It was like a tentative date, and after I chose that date, I started preparing for all those lead code questions again, and then I started watching behavioral question. I started watching system design. I was not pretty much sure about if I will have design questions or not. So I got in touch with recruiter again and I asked her. So yeah, if you have any kind of confusion about what kind of your interview will be, you can ask to recruiter, and recruiter are ready to help you with that. So I asked her if I will have a system design interview or not, because I am interviewing for SDE1, and she told me right away like no, you will not have a system design interview, but you can have a object oriented design interview. So yeah, one of the pressure point, like one of the difficult part got removed from my interview. So I was happy about that, because I don't have a very good experience, as I am a new graduate, recent graduate. So that's why it's good for me that I don't have a system design interview. So after they removed system design interview, I started preparing for first thing I did lead code. I solved like 250 lead code questions until till the date of the interview. Then I tried. Then learned object oriented design questions also, like design a parking lot or design a blackjack. Man, those questions are like so, you can't say it's difficult, but it's like confusing. Why? Because you have only 30 minutes to write those object oriented questions. So you will have to ask the interviewer, do you have to only design the classes or you also have to write a code for it? Well, I did not so I did not got the object oriented design interview in the on-site interview, but they told me like maybe I will be asked object oriented design question. So still I was prepared for that. And the best way to learn object oriented design is by there is a website called educative.io where you can there are many courses. So one of the course was the object oriented design pattern in interview. So you can learn from there. So they have they have lots of uh, lots of data available there. Data in the sense they have explained everything, like how you can design the all the patterns you can use to design object oriented questions. So yeah, definitely try the educative.io for object oriented design question. Yeah, so that was for object oriented. For behavioral, I tried. So I have like Algo Expert subscription. So I learned behavioral from there also. And also I learned some coding question from algoexpert.io. So that is one of the good resource where you can start. And LeetCode, no, LeetCode you don't have a behavioral questions, but yeah, that's how I learned behavioral. And yeah, after solving 250 questions, I thought I'm prepared for it. But just a week before the interview, you will also feel, maybe you will feel, that's what I felt, like okay, I'm not prepared at all. I started seeing the questions I solved, and I was like, oh, I think I did not saw this one before. So this can happen with you, but don't worry, you know how to solve that question. Don't freak out. If you know the logic, I mean, if you learn the logic, you can solve any question. So I can't explain everything about the. I can tell you the questions because I signed the non-disclosure agreement with Amazon. But I will just tell you how the interview was. So there were like it was like a 4 hour interview. So in the first interview, there were like behavioral questions asked for 30 minutes, and remaining 30 minutes was a coding questions, which when they gave me, I was like blank for 2 or you can say 2 or 3 minutes because I haven't solved that question before and I was not prepared for the logic as well. What is the logic for solving that one? So and the interviewer helped me and gave me some hints. So step by step, I tried and finally I arrived at a solution. So I wrote the solution which was optimal, but it was not properly written, I can say. But I explained the time complexity and space complexity also. Also while explaining brute force solution, uh, I was like confused about the time complexity because this was like my first FANG interview ever. So that's why I was confused about the time complexity, which was like super easy. But when you are in an interview, maybe you can be blank sometimes. So that's what happened. But I arrived at an optimal solution in the end with the help of interviewer, obviously. Okay. The second interview was completely behavioral. So they asked me all the behavioral questions for 1 hour. Then in the third interview, the interviewer like really. Uh, so the interviewer was like little bit weird. I felt it weird because he was not listening to me when I was saying. He was like looking at his screen, so I got distracted while answering the behavioral question, and I felt, okay, okay, I missed it, and then I got back to my question that I was answering again, and yeah, it was like a little bit difficult for me to answer to that interviewer because he was not listening to me properly. He was not looking at me. Yeah. And then he gave me a question which I solved it again in optimal. Yeah, it was like a depth first search question which I solved it in a optimal time as well, time and space complexity, and I arrived at the solution, and it was a good one. And then there was a last interview which was a fourth interview. Again, the 30 minutes behavioral question, and remaining 30 minutes were for the coding question. That coding question, yeah, I that one was also a depth first search question which I solved it, but the second part of the question I was like I missed it while solving the question. I be, I touched I I was like click the touch bar and I muted my speaker by mistake, which is crazy thing. So I muted it by mistake, and I was not listening to what the interviewer was saying for like 5 minutes. Oh gosh, I completely bombed it. So after 5 minutes, I saw at the interview, and so I have like two screens. One is this screen is like a laptop, and this screen is my monitor screen. And I was looking here. I was not looking in the webcam while talking with him, and he was like saying something, and I was not looking at him, and suddenly I saw he was talking something, and I can't hear. Then I asked him, I can't hear you. So he was saying something as, and I saw, oh gosh, I pray my speaker is muted. And I came to know I think this is a big mistake. And after that, he was not interested in seeing my uh, answer that I was writing. He went to next behavioral question, and yeah, that's the bad impression I that happened with me. And I think I should have uh, been focused. I also said him sorry, but I think if you are in that 1 hour and you miss something, it's gone. Yeah, it's a bad impression, and yeah, that's how my interview went. And after 3 days, I got a call from I got an email from Amazon that I failed it. They are not moving with me for. They are not moving forward with my application. So that's how the interview went, and yeah. So three, I will say couple of points here which you should remember while giving interviews like this. First thing, solve like as many lead code question as you can. Maybe 200 to 300 are also is also fine, but try to learn the logic. Don't just solve it. I think the mistake I made was like I kept on solving it without properly understanding the logic. Yeah, that that's why I was a little bit blank in the first interview. And then second is practice as much behavioral question as you can also. So behavioral is like you will feel okay, you can answer it on the spot, but maybe sometimes the question they will ask you, you may get confused with that question, and that is one of the thing that can happen. uh, Third point is yeah, don't make any mistakes like clicking the mute button. Don't make that. this can happen. Maybe your luck is not good that day. You may click it by mistake, but don't do that. Yeah, that's it. So that's all I can say. Okay, yeah, one more thing about online assessment. I think Amazon's online assessment questions are almost same every time, so you can pretty much guess what online assessment question you will be asked from lead code. So try to solve as many lead code questions you can, and the recruiter will also give you a couple of all the links. So they will give you links to HackerRank or maybe lead code and code cracking the code interview book. So they'll give you a lot of resources where you can try to learn about the questions and interview pattern. So yeah, that's it. So good luck with your interview and learn from my mistake also. uh, and I will keep on applying for other fan companies, and I hope I can get I will try to repair my mistakes for the next interviews, and let's see what happens. Maybe I'm not made for Amazon, maybe I will get Google. Whatever. So let's see, and best of luck.